Welcome to Love English Lab, where we explore fascinating ideas and help you improve your English listening skills at the same time. I'm Robert.
And I'm Lissette. Today's episode is a bit different. We're going to dive into one of the most intriguing, mysterious, and sometimes controversial topics of all time: aliens, conspiracies, and the power of human imagination.
Why do people believe in aliens? Are they real, or are they just stories we tell ourselves? What about government cover ups, Area 51, UFO sightings, or ancient astronauts?
And beyond that, what do these beliefs say about us as human beings? Why do so many people want to believe that we're not alone? Is it science, or is it something deeper?
In this special episode, we'll take you on a journey. We'll start by looking at the origins of alien stories. Then we'll go through the history of famous conspiracies, explore cultural impacts, hear real testimonies, and finally ask a big question. What does it all mean?
And don't worry if you're learning English, we'll speak clearly, repeat key phrases, and use vocabulary that helps you follow along easily.
So, put on your headphones, open your mind, and get ready to look up at the stars with a mix of curiosity, skepticism, and imagination.
Let's begin.
So, where did it all begin? When did we first start thinking about life beyond Earth?
That's a great question, and to answer it, we need to go way back thousands of years. Believe it or not, some of the oldest stories and myths in human history involve beings from the sky.
Exactly. If we look at ancient cultures, the Sumerians, the Egyptians, the Greeks, even the Mayans, we see stories about gods who came from the stars. They didn't call them aliens, of course, but many of these gods were described as powerful, glowing, descending from the heavens in flying objects.
Right? And some people today look at those ancient stories and say, wait a minute, maybe they weren't just talking about gods. Maybe they were describing visitors from other planets.
This is the idea behind the ancient astronaut theory, the belief that extraterrestrials visited Earth in the distant past and influenced human civilization.
It's a popular idea in documentaries and books, especially thanks to shows like Ancient Aliens. But it's also very controversial. Most scientists don't accept it as real evidence, they say it's speculation.
Still, the fact that so many different cultures imagined beings from the sky shows us something interesting. Humans have always been curious about what's up there in the stars, the sky, the unknown.
And that curiosity only grew stronger with the invention of the telescope.
Yes! In the early 1600s, Galileo used a telescope to look at the moon and saw that it wasn't a perfect sphere. It had mountains and valleys. Suddenly, people began to wonder, if the moon is a place, maybe someone lives there.
In fact, by the 18th century, some scientists and philosophers actually believed that the moon, Mars, and Venus were inhabited. They thought life must exist everywhere. They just didn't have the tools to prove it.
That's right, there's even a funny example from 1835, known as the Great Moon Hoax.
Oh, yes, I love that story. A newspaper in New York published a series of articles claiming that a famous astronomer had discovered life on the moon, including bat-like creatures, temples, and forests.
People believed it at least for a little while. It shows how ready we were to accept the idea of life beyond Earth.
And then something big happened. Science fiction was born.
That's a huge turning point. Writers like Jules Verne and H.G. Wells started creating stories about space travel, alien invasions, and futuristic technology. Suddenly, aliens weren't just gods or myths, they became characters, threats, and even heroes.
Do you remember The War of the Worlds?
Of course. H.G. Wells wrote it in 1898. It's about Martians attacking Earth with giant machines. It was one of the first stories to imagine intelligent, hostile aliens. And when it was adapted into a radio play in 1938,
People thought it was real. The broadcast was so realistic that some listeners panicked, thinking the invasion was actually happening. That's how powerful imagination can be.
exactly. By then, we had already entered the age of rockets, satellites, and modern science. The idea of aliens became more than fantasy, it became a question. Are we alone?
In the 20th century, that question took center stage, especially after 1947.
Ah, yes, Roswell.
We'll go deeper into that in the next segment, but briefly. In 1947, a mysterious object crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. The military said it was a weather balloon, but some believed and still believe it was a flying saucer.
That event changed everything. Suddenly, the idea of aliens wasn't just science fiction anymore, it was a possible reality. Or at least a conspiracy.
So, to summarize this segment, humans have imagined beings from the sky since ancient times. These ideas evolved over centuries from myths to scientific curiosity to science fiction and finally to modern speculation and sightings.
And now we live in a world where millions of people believe we're not alone. But why? Is it because of real evidence? Or something psychological?
We'll explore that in the next part of the episode. But before we move on, let's review a few key phrases from this section, especially for our English learners.
Here are some useful words and phrases from this segment. Ancient astronaut theory, the idea that aliens visited Earth long ago. Speculation, guessing or forming ideas without full evidence. Hoax, a trick or false story meant to deceive people. Science fiction, fiction based on imagined future science and technology. To panic, to suddenly feel great fear and lose control. Conspiracy, a secret plan, often involving lies or cover-ups.
You can listen again and try to catch these words.
Coming up next, the conspiracies begin how Roswell UFO sightings and secret government programs created a new kind of belief.
Stay with us.
Welcome back. In the last segment, we explored how alien stories started in ancient myths and evolved through early science and fiction. But now we enter the modern era, the time when aliens became something more. Something political, mysterious, even frightening.
And it all begins with one of the most famous events in alien lore, Roswell, 1947.
In July of that year, something strange crashed in the desert near Roswell, New Mexico. The U.S. military first announced they had recovered a flying disc. The newspapers went wild.
But just one day later, the military changed the story. They said it was just a weather balloon.
That sudden change sparked decades of suspicion. Why did they change their story? What were they hiding? Some people believed it was a cover-up, that an actual alien spacecraft had been recovered, along with non-human bodies.
To this day, Roswell remains the most famous UFO crash in history. Even people who aren't into conspiracies know the name.
And it wasn't just Roswell. Around the same time, in June 1947, a pilot named Kenneth Arnold reported seeing 9 flying objects near Mount Rainier, Washington.
He described them as moving like saucers skipping on water. That's actually where the term flying saucer came from.
Exactly. From that moment, public interest exploded. Suddenly, people all over the United States started reporting strange objects in the sky. Newspapers called them UFOs, unidentified flying objects.
And the government noticed. In 1952, they created Project Blue Book, a real U.S. Air Force program to collect and analyze UFO sightings.
From 1952 to 1969, they investigated over 12,000 reports. Most were explained weather balloons, aircraft, stars, but some, around 700, remained unexplained.
And that's where the mystery deepened. The government said, "We found nothing dangerous." But others asked, "If there's nothing to worry about, why investigate so many reports?"
Then came Area 51, the top secret military base in Nevada. For decades, the U.S. government denied it even existed, but people started connecting the dots.
Some believed Area 51 was the place where alien technology was being studied. Rumors included hidden spacecraft, underground labs, even alien beings kept alive in tanks.
In 2013, the CIA officially acknowledged Area 51's existence, but said it was only used for testing spy planes like the U-2 and SR-71 Blackbird.
Still, for many, that just confirmed what they already suspected, that the government hides things from the public, especially about extraterrestrial encounters.
So let's pause here and ask, why do these events, Roswell, Area 51, Blue Book, continue to capture our imagination?
I think it's because they represent a deep trust issue. After World War II, people realized governments were capable of keeping secrets, atomic bombs, espionage, covert experiments.
And don't forget the Cold War. During the 1950s and 60s, the US and the Soviet Union were competing in space. Rockets, satellites, missiles, all of that was highly classified.
So it makes sense that during this time of tension, people started to imagine strange things in the sky and also started to suspect that they weren't being told the full truth.
Exactly. The fear of aliens was mixed with the fear of nuclear war and secret weapons. Some UFO sightings were probably experimental aircraft, but to the public, they were flying saucers.
Movies and media also played a big role. In the 1950s, Hollywood released films like The Day the Earth Stood Still, War of the Worlds, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
These films weren't just about aliens. They reflected real fears: fear of invasion, fear of communism, fear of losing control.
In a way, aliens became a metaphor. They represented the unknown enemy, the outsider, the threat that could come at any moment.
That's such an important idea. The alien became a symbol, not just a creature from space, but a reflection of our own anxieties.
And even now, decades later, we still have those anxieties. We fear being watched, being manipulated, being lied to. So conspiracies stay alive, sometimes stronger than ever.
We'll talk about modern conspiracies in the next segment. But let's wrap up this historical part with a few important points.
Here's a quick summary of what we covered. Roswell, 1947. Sparked public belief in alien crashes and government cover-ups. Flying saucers and UFOs became part of mainstream culture after many sightings. Project Blue Book investigated over 12,000 UFO reports. Some remain unexplained. Area 51 became a symbol of secret research and alien technology. Cold War and media increased public paranoia and turned aliens into metaphors for fear.
Let's go over some key vocabulary from this segment. Cover up, an attempt to hide the truth. Crash site, the location where something falls or crashes. Spy plane, a plane used to gather secret information. Anxiety, a feeling of worry or fear. Metaphor, a symbol or comparison that represents something else. Mainstream common, popular or accepted by many people.
If you didn't catch all of those words, no problem, you can listen again.
Coming up in the next segment, we explore the psychology of belief. Why do people believe in conspiracies? What makes some people certain that aliens are already here?
Things are about to get even more interesting. Don't go away. Welcome back. So far, we've explored the origins of alien stories and the rise of government-related conspiracies. But now let's focus on something even more personal: the people who claim to have seen aliens or even met them.
Yes, these stories are everywhere. You'll find them on TV, in books, in podcasts, and even at family dinners. And
And they range from simple sightings like seeing lights in the sky to detailed encounters, abductions, and messages from beyond.
let's start with one of the most famous cases, Betty and Barney Hill.
Ah, yes, the first widely publicized case of alien abduction. This happened in 1961 in New Hampshire, USA.
Betty and Barney were driving at night when they noticed a strange light in the sky. It followed their car. They got out to look, and then everything went blank.
Hours later, they woke up at home, unsure of what had happened. Over time, through hypnosis, they described being taken aboard a spacecraft and examined by humanoid beings.
Their story became a national sensation. Some believed them. Others said it was a dream, a psychological reaction to stress, or a false memory. But Betty and Barney never changed their story.
It's still one of the most detailed and well-known abduction cases, but it's not the only one. And
Not even close. In fact, thousands of people around the world have reported similar experiences, sometimes describing the same types of beings. The Greys small, thin, big-headed, with large black eyes.
that's interesting, isn't it? Why do so many people describe similar creatures, even in different countries and cultures?
Some say it's because those images come from movies and media. Once an idea is out there, it spreads like a virus. People start dreaming about it, imagining it, and believing it's real.
Others say, no, the reason the stories are similar is because they're all seeing the same real beings.
Let's talk about a few more modern cases. Have you heard of Travis Walton?
Yes. His case was turned into a movie called Fire in the Sky. He was a logger in Arizona who claimed he was taken by a UFO in 1975. His coworkers saw the light and then he disappeared for 5 days.
When he came back, he told an incredible story of being aboard an alien ship, lying on a table surrounded by creatures.
His coworkers passed lie detector tests, and Travis himself has told the same story for decades.
Of course, skeptics say he made it up for fame. But again, the details never changed, and he never became rich or powerful because of it.
Then there are the everyday people, not just famous abductees, but regular people who've seen strange lights, had missing time, or even scars they can't explain.
I actually spoke to someone last year, a friend of a friend, who swears he saw a triangle-shaped craft floating silently above a field.
Really?
Yes, he's a very calm, logical person. No drugs, no drinking. He said it just hovered there, totally silent, and then zoomed away in a second.
I had a similar conversation once with a woman from Argentina. She was hiking with friends in the Andes when they saw a light moving in zigzags across the sky. It stopped, hovered, and then shot straight up and disappeared. They all saw it.
What I find interesting is not just the event, but how these people feel afterward. Many say it changes their life. They start to question reality, their place in the universe. Sometimes they become obsessed with understanding what happened.
And sometimes it brings fear. Some people are scared to talk about it. They don't want to be laughed at or called crazy.
Which leads to a big question. Why do people believe these things?
Well, part of it is human psychology. Our brains are pattern machines. We look for meaning. We connect dots. If something strange happens, our mind tries to explain it.
And in some cases, the alien explanation gives people a sense of control, like, I didn't imagine this. Something real happened to me, and I'm not alone.
But also, we're emotional beings. Sometimes people go through trauma, sleep paralysis, or deep fear, and those emotions can create powerful memories, even if the event didn't happen exactly as remembered.
Then again, maybe some of them are real. Maybe, just maybe. A few of these stories are true.
And if even one is true, it changes everything.
That's why these stories are so compelling. Whether you believe or not, they open the door to wonder, fear, Curiosity, and that's part of being human.
Let's summarize what we explored in this segment. The Hill abduction, 1961. The first major alien abduction case. Travis Walton, 1975. Claimed to be taken aboard a UFO for 5 days. Global experiences. Similar sightings and abduction stories happen worldwide. Psychological effects. Many experiencers report life-changing emotional impacts. Belief versus evidence. These stories are powerful, even without scientific proof.
Here are some helpful terms. Abduction, the act of taking someone away, often by force. Sightings, events when people see something unusual. Lie detector, a test to measure if someone is telling the truth. Missing time, a period someone cannot remember, often linked to strange events. Sleep paralysis, a state where you are awake but can't move, often with hallucinations. Compelling, something that strongly grabs attention or emotion.
You can replay this segment and practice listening again. Repetition is key.
Up next, the psychology and sociology behind belief in aliens and conspiracies. Why do some people become true believers and others become skeptics?
That's in segment 4. And trust me, it gets deep. See you there. So, Robert, we've talked about a lot of things tonight. Ancient stories, military secrets, people who say they've seen aliens. But now I want to ask you something more personal. Do you believe in aliens?
You're starting with the big one, huh? Honestly, I think I do. But with caution, I believe life is probably out there. The universe is just too big, too full of possibilities. But do I believe aliens are visiting Earth in flying saucers? I'm not so sure.
I get that. For me, I've always wanted to believe. As a kid, I used to look up at the sky and imagine entire civilizations up there, maybe watching us, maybe just existing without us ever knowing.
Yeah, there's something really powerful about that feeling, looking up and wondering. I think it's one of the most human things we can do.
Absolutely. But as I grew older, I started becoming more skeptical, not because I don't want it to be true, but because I started realizing how complicated reality is. Memories can change, stories can spread. People lie, and sometimes people believe things that never happened.
Totally. And it's interesting how belief works. For example, when someone sees something strange, a light in the sky, their brain fills in the blanks. If they already believe in aliens, they might say, it must have been a UFO. If they're more scientific, they might say, it was probably a drone or a satellite.
Yeah, it's like our beliefs filter what we experience.
Exactly. But even with that in mind, I can't deny that some stories just stick with me. Like the Travis Walton case. Or those Navy pilots who've seen objects moving in impossible ways.
Oh, the Tic Tac UFOs?
Yes, that's the one. From the Pentagon videos, those are real military pilots, trained observers. They don't say it's aliens, but they do say, we don't know what this is.
That's the part I find most fascinating, the unknown. For me, aliens are not just about little green men, they're a symbol. They represent how much we don't understand about our universe.
Totally. It's like they remind us how small we are and how much we still have to learn.
You know what's funny? Some people think believing in aliens is crazy, but they're perfectly fine believing in things like love, luck, or even guardian angels.
That's so true. We all have our invisible beliefs. It's just a matter of which ones we choose to protect.
So let me flip the question on you. Why do you think people want to believe in aliens?
I think there are a few reasons. One, we don't want to feel alone. It's comforting to imagine that someone else is out there, especially someone more advanced. Two, aliens give us a sense of hope or fear, depending on how we imagine them. They reflect what we're feeling inside.
That's deep. Like a mirror.
Exactly. When people feel afraid of the government, aliens become a tool of control. When people feel lonely, aliens become friends. When people want meaning, aliens become gods.
It's almost like the idea of aliens changes depending on the time and place.
Yes, in ancient times, aliens were gods. In the Cold War, they were invaders. In modern times, they're watchers, scientists, maybe even protectors.
I never thought of it that way. It makes me wonder if aliens exist. What would they think of us?
Oh, wow, that's a question. Maybe they'd see us like we see ants, or maybe like children.
I like to think they'd see our beauty, our music, our emotions, our stories.
Me too. Maybe they'd be fascinated by how creative we are, how much we can imagine.
And maybe that's the real power of aliens, not whether they're real or not, but what they make us think about. What we fear, what we hope, what we dream.
Well said, Lissette. That might be the most important takeaway of this whole podcast.
So, after all this, would you want to meet an alien?
Only if it's friendly and not planning to run tests on me.
Fair. I think I'd want to meet one too, just to ask, what's your favorite music?
Or do you have art? Do you love someone? Do you wonder about us?
Beautiful thought. Well, I guess that's what this podcast is, us wondering about them.
Let's pause for a moment and reflect. Aliens reflect our human need for connection, meaning, and wonder. Belief is shaped by culture, emotion, and personal experience. Whether aliens are real or not, the idea of them makes us ask important questions about who we are.
And maybe that's the real magic of the alien story. It makes us curious, it makes us dream, and it brings us together even if we don't agree on the facts.
Let's look at some vocabulary used in this segment. Skeptical, not easily convinced, having doubts. Symbol, something that represents an idea or concept. Pattern, a repeated or recognizable structure. Filter, something that affects how we see or understand. Reflect, to show or express something back. Wonder, a feeling of amazement or curiosity.
These are great words for discussing deep or abstract ideas. Practice using them in your own conversations.
Coming up next, our final segment. We'll summarize what we've explored and leave you with some questions to reflect on after this episode ends.
Don't go away. The conclusion is just around the corner. So, Robert, let's get serious. After everything we've discussed, the myths, sightings, abductions, and experiences, the question remains, why do people believe in aliens and conspiracies?
That's the heart of it, isn't it? I think we can start with something basic. Humans are storytellers. We love patterns. We search for meaning in chaos. And sometimes conspiracy theories give us a way to make sense of a confusing world.
Absolutely. Especially when we feel powerless or distrustful, conspiracies offer a simple answer. This happened because a secret group caused it. Or, the government knows the truth and hides it from us.
Exactly. And that feeling isn't just irrational sometimes, it's based on real events. Think about the Tuskegee experiments, Watergate, MK Ultra. Governments have lied. That creates an atmosphere where people say, if they lied before, maybe they're lying now.
Yes, the distrust is real and often earned. But what happens is that distrust expands into areas without evidence, like aliens in secret bunkers, or shape-shifting reptilian rulers.
Right. And that's where critical thinking becomes so important. It's okay to ask questions, but we need to be careful about jumping to conclusions without solid proof.
One thing I find interesting is that belief in aliens and conspiracies isn't limited to uneducated people. In fact, many smart, educated people believe in them.
Yes, Because belief is not just about education, it's about emotions, identity, and community. If you grow up in a family or culture that talks about alien sightings, that becomes part of your worldview.
And confirmation bias plays a big role. Once you believe something, you naturally start noticing only the evidence that supports it and ignoring everything that doesn't.
That's how people fall deeper into the rabbit hole. Every piece of evidence becomes a clue, and every denial becomes more proof that there's a cover up.
So, how do we fight that? How do we stay open minded but not gullible?
It's a balance. You stay curious, ask questions, read, listen, but also check sources. Challenge your own ideas and accept that sometimes we just don't know.
Which is hard. Humans hate saying, I don't know.
Yes, we'd rather believe in a strange explanation than admit we're confused.
And the internet makes it even more complicated. Once, conspiracies were shared in small groups, and now social media gives them global reach with algorithms that amplify extreme or emotional content.
Exactly. One viral video can convince millions, especially if it plays on fear or wonder.
I also think the need for significance plays a role. Believing that aliens are visiting your planet, your country, maybe even your backyard, makes you feel like part of something cosmic, like the universe is watching,
That's deep. It's a way of saying, I matter. My story matters.
right? Now, what about the skeptics? The people who don't believe in any of this? What do you think drives them?
Some of them are rational thinkers, grounded in science. Others simply don't want to believe. It's uncomfortable. Accepting that aliens might exist or that powerful groups might manipulate us creates anxiety.
So, skepticism can be protective, just like belief can be comforting.
Exactly. Two sides of the same coin. Both are ways to manage uncertainty.
Sometimes I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Not every conspiracy is real, but not every official story is honest either.
That's where I land too. Be skeptical of everything, including your own ideas.
And remain curious. Curiosity is what keeps us thinking, growing, evolving.
So, in the end, whether you believe in aliens or not, the most important thing is how you believe with respect, with humility, and with a desire to learn.
Let's review some of the key insights from this segment. Belief in conspiracies is often emotional, not just logical. Real historical events of deception fuel modern distrust. The internet spreads ideas fast, sometimes without verification. People are drawn to belief for comfort, meaning, and identity. Healthy skepticism means questioning everything, including yourself.
Distrustful, not trusting. Suspicious. Confirmation bias. Tendency to believe only information that supports your view. Rabbit hole. A complex and confusing situation that keeps going deeper. Gullible, easily fooled or tricked. Amplify, to increase or make something stronger or louder. Humility, the quality of being humble, not thinking you know everything.
Coming up next, our final segment. We'll wrap things up, share some reflective questions, and give you a peaceful ending to this deep journey.
Let's head to the stars one more time and then return home.
So, here we are, after a long and fascinating conversation. We've traveled through ancient myths, government secrets, personal stories, psychology, and deep beliefs.
We've asked if aliens are real, but more importantly, we've asked why we care. Why these stories have such power over our imagination, our fears, and our identity.
And the truth is, we don't have final answers. Maybe we never will.
But maybe that's not the point. Maybe the real value of all this aliens, conspiracies, sightings, science fiction is what it tells us about ourselves.
About our longing for connection, our fear of being alone, our endless curiosity.
And our ability to wonder.
I think it's beautiful that in the middle of our noisy, complicated lives, people still take the time to look up at the night sky and ask, what if?
Yes. That simple question, what if, has led us to some of the greatest discoveries in history. And maybe one day it will lead us to the stars.
Before we say goodbye, we want to leave you with a few questions. You can write about them, think about them, or even discuss them with someone else.
Do you believe in extraterrestrial life? If so, why? If not, why not? What stories or images first shaped your idea of what an alien is? How do trust and doubt affect what you believe about the world? Have you ever changed your mind about a conspiracy theory in either direction? What does the idea of not being alone in the universe mean to you?
There are no right or wrong answers, just honest reflection. And that's where real learning begins.
If you're studying English, here's something useful. The word wonder can be both a verb and a noun. As a verb, I wonder if we're alone in the universe. As a noun, space is full of wonder.
It's one of my favorite words in English because it means curiosity, beauty, and mystery all at once.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or just curious, we're glad you spent this time with us.
And remember, learning English doesn't have to be boring. It can be magical, emotional, surprising, just like the topic of today's episode.
We'll be back soon with another deep and meaningful topic, designed to help you grow not just as an English learner, but as a thinker.
Until then, keep looking up and keep asking questions.
This was Love English Lab. I'm Robert.
And I'm Lissette. Take care and don't stop wondering.